Hello, hello, friends. Erin Power here. I've got a really interesting topic that came up on my coaching call with clients today. This was actually brought up by one of my clients, and I wanted to share it with you as a thought experiment slash contemplation exercise. So I'm going to frame it like this. Does it make more sense that food should be very complex and mentally challenging? Or does it make more sense that food and eating and taking care of our bodies actually should be simple? Which one of those things makes more sense? If you zoom out and contemplate the human, which of those paradigms makes more sense? Now, I don't know what you think about humans. I think humans are very old. Okay, now I want to recognize that we have different beliefs. Everybody has different beliefs about how old humans are. But no matter what your beliefs are, humans are still pretty old. They're either a few thousand years old or they're a few million years old, and anywhere in between, whatever your beliefs are. That's pretty old, right? That's a lot older than we are. And if we really think critically, we can acknowledge that some of the stuff we think about with respect to food, some of the fussiness and the overfraught micromanagement of food is relatively new generationally. I think we started doing this maybe in the 70s or 80s. Maybe it goes earlier than that, where women were watching their figures. But food scales and tracking and the creation of the calorie or the recognition of the calorie and counting calories, that's all relatively new, like in the last maybe 3 generations, maybe 4, if we're going to really just be super conservative with our timeline here. That's really new. Really, really, really new. So this idea of counting, tracking, weighing, freaking out, worrying about food is new. So when we contemplate that, then it seems like, well, prior to 4 generations ago, everything seems like it was a lot simpler. It seems like humans ate when they were hungry and stopped when they were full and had access to only the food that was available to be grown or hunted, right? Because we didn't have grocery stores full of hyper processed foods and little treats everywhere. We couldn't just hit up a Starbucks drive-through. Like up until a few generations ago, it was actually simple. It was very simple. You ate what was put in front of you, and you ate when you were hungry and you stopped when you were full, and that really worked well. We were a lot healthier then than we are now. Quite honestly, if you do these parallel thought experiments, in the last 4 generations, we've really started to like sort of over intellectualize, shall we say, slash, again, micromanage food, but we've also become less healthy and less happy with our bodies, right? It's not like we started tracking our food and we got better. The actual inverse happened. We started tracking our food and paying more attention to food and obsessing about food, and we've been getting worse and worse, culturally speaking. And the people that I work with, women, it's not that women that I work with are getting unhealthy, because women, at least midlife women, are just so well practiced at being so hyper vigilant about food that we would never allow that to happen. We just don't. We just don't let ourselves go quite to that level. We've been trained not to. But we have so much mental energy wrapped up in our food, and we're not happy with how we get to eat. We're not happy with how we look in pictures. We're not happy with how we look in our clothes. We are not happy. So why put all that effort in if we're not even getting what we want out of it? The juice does not appear to be worth the squeeze. This contemplation came up on my coaching call. A client said, wait, it doesn't have to be fussy and complicated. It actually makes more sense for it not to be. It makes more sense for food to be simple. Food should be simple. Man, when I was sitting in the back of my nutrition school, this is going back 12 years ago, when I went to nutrition school for my late in life career change, I was sitting in the back of the room in this year-long diploma program. We were learning about every possible nutrient insufficiency and all the supplements you could take to shore it up, and all of the nutritional pathology and symptomatology and all this stuff, and then how to help people feel better in their bodies, feel better with food. And I remember sitting in the back of the room thinking, wow, this is so complicated. No wonder people are absolutely stuck and bewildered. When I become a nutritionist, there's no way in hell I'm teaching any of what I'm learning here, because this is all too complicated. It doesn't have to be this complicated. Food should be simple. I purchased my web domain sitting in the back of that classroom, eatsimple.ca. I couldn't get the .com. Somebody's squatting on the .com, eatsimple.com. I'm going to get it one of these days. Eatsimple.ca. And then I quickly whipped up a little website. And I think this page still exists on my website. It's sort of like my manifesto. The very first line of it is, Food should be simple. Food should be simple. And now I believe that. I live that. I have a very simple, effortless relationship with food. I've been practicing it for 15 years or so. So I'm well practiced at it. It definitely takes practice, but also it's kind of your birthright because we had a very simple relationship with food and things were going a lot better for us. Once we started making our food relationship more complex, everything just got way worse. We can return to the simplicity that is, like I said earlier, our birthright, and it's available to you. And I'd love to help you get there. And just like my client who had this awakening on the call today, where it was like, wait, it makes more sense that this should be easy. Why have I spent so many years spinning my wheels with very complex food rules when really my body has always known what it needs? Like, duh. I'm walking around in a very complex, beautiful system here, this elegant system of biology this skin suit that I was given to me at birth that has all this amazing technology inside of it. And I've been just ignoring the elegance of that technology and sort of square peg, round holing my beliefs and principles into a body that works perfectly. It's actually crazy to think about it. It's actually crazy. So these are the interesting conversations we have in the coaching relationship. We don't talk in my coaching relationships about how much of what to eat ever, because I don't have rules like that on my program. I have different parameters in my program, and my clients are practicing them. And then they're coming to these awakenings. And this is what I think is really exciting. I wish for everybody to recognize that you have more agency, wisdom, and intuition and intelligence inside of you than you think you do. For most of your life, you've been told what to do, told how to eat, told how to move, told how much of what to do and when, and how to take care of yourself. But you actually have a lot of innate wisdom. You have either thousands or millions of years of innate wisdom, depending on your beliefs, inside your DNA. Your body really does work perfectly if you get out of its way. And that's what I love helping people do. So it was really fun to hear this client say that. One other thing we talked about in our coaching call today was it was kind of an adjacent concept, which is, okay, I'm learning to back out of weird diet programming and I'm learning to come home to my body. That means I really do have to be able to pay attention to my hunger signals and be able to adequately nourish when that hunger signal is queued up. Okay, that's the basic gist of the parameters of this program that I do with my clients. Well, in a modern human world, that just isn't that easy, quite honestly, because we're so busy. On principle, it seems really logical to say, okay, when I feel hungry, I will eat a great meal. But quite often our calendar gets in the way. Like, well, I can't because I'm busy. That's a major confounding factor for people, their calendars, because that's now the modern human experience. So not to get kooky, but think about your ancient DNA living in a modern human world. There's a big mismatch between our old bodies and our new cultural sort of inputs. That's why ultra processed foods are really bad for us, because it's this modern food concoction coming into an old body, and the old body is like, what is this? We don't have the machinery to deal with this. It's too new and we're so old, right? I do think about it this way. I do like to think about health this way because actually I find it simplifies things for me. You know, what makes sense in the context of the science that I'm walking around in. So we'll say, trust the science. Well, you're made of science, baby. You're made of science. Okay. So what about the science that you're walking around in? What about this biology suit that you're wearing? Understand the biology suit that you're wearing, right? So now you're this little chunk of science walking around in the world, but you have this modern schedule that you're trying to squeeze this really sort of mechanical constructed schedule. And you're just this really like responsive, dynamic, complex system of biology trying to work with a culture that has rigidified us into calendar chunks. Like, first I do this, then I do this, and my calendar's back to back, and there's no time for me on my calendar. That isn't going to work. We can't accept that as an excuse. And I just use the word excuse, and I don't like saying words like that because I'm not mean. I'm not a tough love person. But I do think that blaming our busy calendars for the reason why we can't take care of ourselves is a really unfortunate excuse. And I would encourage you to not accept that for yourself. You can do better. You are as important to be on your own calendar as anything else. Any errand you have to run, any chore you have to do, anybody else's needs you have to meet, you also have to meet yours. That's non-negotiable. If you don't do it, who's going to do it for you? If you don't take care of yourself, who's coming to do it for you? Now, I don't know about you. I'm not wealthy. I don't have servants and maids and butlers and chefs in my estate here. My estate is a rickety little cabin in the forest. I have to do it myself, otherwise it's not getting done. And I have to do it myself in the context of a busy modern schedule because I'm a modern human, unfortunately. I'm an old human, but I'm living in the modern world. I live and die by my schedule. My little rectangle of doom here, this computer that I hold in my hand all day long, holds all the secrets to what I get to do with my day. I don't get to live by the seat of my pants. I don't get to decide what I want to do. My calendar has decided for me, and that sucks and I hate it, but it's just true. It's just a fact of my life and your life. So what I won't do and what I don't want you to do is roll over and play victim to a calendar. I just really think that kind of anything in the realm of victim mentality is holding us back. I don't like it when I see it. I shy away from it when I hear it from people on the phone. People book consults with me and they want to work with me to solve their food and body stuff once and for all. If I get a glimmer that they feel like they're a victim, I'm kind of putting them on the back burner. I'm like, let's work on this later. I'll circle back with you later when this feels more doable for you. As long as we feel like we're stuck victim to our circumstance, we won't take the bull by the horns. A victim would never take a bull by the horns. A victim would just assume that they're powerless to their circumstance, and you're not. You're absolutely not powerless to your circumstance, even if your calendar's busy, especially when your calendar's busy. So one thing that I talk about in a lot of the containers that I work with people is sort of a modern human view on meal prep. You might know meal prep as batch cooking a bunch of food on Sunday and then putting it into pre-portioned containers, Tupperwares, and then putting those in the fridge and then pulling them out and heating them up and eating soggy, lame leftovers for days. That's how we know meal prep. And that's such a weird modern construct. Can you imagine your great-great-great-great-grandparents doing that? They didn't have fridges, first of all. So they were just cooking and eating whatever they could cook and eat. Well, I heard this a few weeks ago. This was really interesting to me because I think this stuff is really fascinating to contemplate the way we've engaged with food over the eras. By the way, that was not a Taylor Swift reference. I have no skin in the Taylor Swift game. But over the eras, right? So, for example, we think of breakfast as breakfast food. So like toast, yogurt, bananas, muffins, croissants, cereal, oatmeal. We have these breakfast food categories. But back in the day, before we had refrigeration, breakfast was whatever was left over from dinner last night because you just had to eat it before it spoiled. So like dinner for breakfast is kind of how we used to do it. Actually, now when I ask my clients to eat dinner for breakfast, it feels like cognitive dissonance. Like, well, I can't eat chicken for breakfast. The breakfast police will arrest me. There's no way I can have a steak for breakfast. I can't have fish for breakfast. That's against the law. No, you can. And we used to do it all the time. I just think it's amusing to acknowledge the modern constructs of it all. I really do. I really find it amusing and lightly amusing, by the way. It's fun and silly for me to contemplate how we engage with food now. Okay, so getting back to my point, which was meal prep, right? So meal prep, as we now know it, is this very constructed kind of ridiculous activity, right? Here's how I want you to think about meal prep. The first thing you do when you're thinking about how to prepare yourself to eat meals is look at your calendar. Be really honest with yourself. And you'll say, okay, wow, this looks brutal. I'm flat out Monday through Wednesday. I've got barely any time to myself. Then you get to decide. You're in the decision tree. Either decision A, wow, this sucks. I'm such a victim. This is never going to work for me. Or decision B, what can I do with this information? I like decision B. Okay, my calendar is insane. What can I do with this information? Where can I claw back the moments that I need to take care of myself? Because guess what? Taking care of yourself needs to be on your to-do list as well. No one's coming to do it for you unless you're very wealthy and have a team of butlers, servants, maids, and cooks. I don't think you do, so you're going to have to take care of yourself. So we're not playing the victim anymore. We're not putting ourselves in the back burner. We're not martyring ourselves and saying, oh, woe is me. I can never eat healthy because everyone's needs come before my own. Enough, enough. That is such a woman thing to say. And by the way, moms say that a lot. You're parenting, you're putting your children's needs in front of everything else that matters to you. That makes perfect sense. But I've even heard childless women say this. I've heard women whose children are fully grown say this. Oh, now that my kids are grown, I got to put my husband's needs or my sister's needs or my mother's needs. She's unwell. We're always putting ourselves in the back burner. We're giving, loving creatures. That's what makes us special and soft. I love that about women. But it's also not working. We can be this giving, soft, caring entity, and we can also apply some of that characteristic on ourselves. And in fact, we must. Otherwise, we won't be able to take care of the people in our lives that need us. We need to take care of ourselves. I'm not talking about major hashtag self-care. I'm talking about feeding yourself breakfast. Like, I'm talking about finding a 15-minute time of the day to whip up a can of tuna. I'm all about these convenience foods because I'm also busy, because I'm also a damn modern human, unfortunately. When I go grocery shopping, I consider my schedule when I'm grocery shopping. Like, oh, I have no time to cook this week because I'm on back-to-back Zoom calls. So what I'm not going to do is buy a pot roast and some, lamb chops and things that are very sort of recipe oriented that I'm going to have to really pay attention to and cook. I won't have time. It's going to be frozen burger patties, cans of tuna, roasted chicken, which is one of my favorite convenience foods because you just put it in the oven and ignore it, or even a rotisserie chicken, which is already cooked for you. I'm going for those convenience options because I know I won't stop to cook, but I still need to eat. If I don't eat, none of this works. If you don't feed yourself, none of this works. So you're going to have to do it, right? This is just realistic. So when I talk about meal prep, the way I encourage meal prep is, first of all, step one, know how to eat. Most women don't know how to eat. Don't know how to eat to support their bodies, don't understand the basics of nutrition, the old ass nutrition that our body needs, that ancient wisdom of the body, the food, the nourishment that it needs to run. We've been so shoehorned into macros and calories and salads and cardio that we have no idea how to nourish our bodies. It's insane. So you have to deprogram and reprogram your whole brain. No big deal. Got to figure out how to eat. That's step one. Once you know how to eat, then be realistic about the time you have to prepare food. It's probably the dregs of spare time that you have in between doing everything else for everybody else. And I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. So be realistic. Okay, it's going to be air fryer meals. It's going to be slow cooker meals. It's going to be pre-cooked meals. It's going to be HelloFresh or DoorDash, or I'm doing canned tuna, or I'm doing frozen burger patties. It's not going to be these elaborate mindful meals. I don't have time. So just be reasonable about your schedule and factor in what you know how to cook and what gadgets you have to cook. So truly, I do this. I go to the grocery store. I go right to the meat aisle because I'm prioritizing protein, as we should be. Meat is a little on the expensive side. Well, everything is. Everything in the grocery store is expensive right now. I'll go to the end cap of the meat aisle and see what's on sale. Oh, look, chicken drumsticks are on sale. Okay, pork ribs are on sale. Ground beef is on sale. And I'll think, well, these are good deals. Now, I have a busy schedule. I don't think I'm going to have time for drumsticks because drumsticks, I kind of have to cook them actively. But I could slow cook ribs. So slow cooking is an ignorable food preparation. So it's like I can put them on the barbecue. That's how I like to do ribs, on the barbecue or the smoker. Put them on the barbecue for like 3 hours. And that's good because I can put them on the smoker, then work, and then pull them off the smoker and shove them into my face. And that's sort of like a convenience food. Okay, ground beef is on sale. That's always a convenience food. You can fry up ground beef in a heartbeat. It's usually relatively inexpensive, really great nutrient density, and you can dress it up a lot of different ways. You can do like an Italian meat sauce or a taco salad, or you can put it in eggs or make meatballs. There's lots of things you can do with ground beef. So it's like, this is a good deal budget-wise. I have the time to cook this, or I don't. Like drumsticks might not be on the schedule because that's just too much. Like I have to pay attention to them. I don't have time to pay attention. But here's some ignorable foods or quick to cook foods. And what also this does is it gives me variety. It just automatically factors variety into my day because I'm picking the food that makes sense from my time and money budget, right? So whatever that is. I always consider, how am I going to cook it? So I'm just doing this calculus while I'm in the grocery store. Okay, yes, on Tuesday, I can put those ribs on at 10 in the morning. Then I have back-to-back calls. The ribs will be done by 1 p.m. I have a break. I can eat the ribs, maybe take a quick walk, come back for my 2 p.m. call, That'll be good. Okay, so ribs on Tuesday, that's going to be great. And then on Wednesday, I have time in the morning for like scrambled eggs and bacon. Oh, I should go get some more eggs because I'm almost out of eggs. Maybe I'll get some berries. Like I'm just walking through my day and picking my menu based on my day. That's meal prep. Know how to eat, be aware of your schedule and what and when you can cook. This is the modern meal prep for the busy modern human that also doesn't want to meal prep on Sundays and then eat soggy leftovers all week long. I don't want to eat like that. That is such a gross, lame relationship with food. I don't want to eat that. I would so not put up with that. I can see me doing that for 1, maybe 2 days. I'd be like, forget it. This sucks. We do want joy from our food. We want it to feel nice to eat. And this goes all the way back to the top of the conversation, what my client shared on our coaching call today, which is it actually makes a lot of sense for food to feel nice and easy. Like that makes a lot of sense. I could see her intellectualizing on the call. For so long, we've been trained to have this very fraught, micromanaged, difficult relationship with food. But if you really think about it, it makes more sense that it should be easy because why on earth would a human have to spend that much mental energy on food? We don't have time. You have way more important things to do than worry about food. And I'm a nutritionist saying this. I'm telling you, don't waste your life worrying about food. It's such a waste of your mental resources. Food should be easy. Food should be simple. Your calendar's not a good excuse to not take care of yourself. We covered a lot of ground today. But I wanted to share this with you because this is all the stuff that came up in my coaching call today. I learned so much from my clients and I love getting to share it back with you. I hope you can take some nuggets away from this one today.